Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I'm Andrew.
I am Kellie.
Happy, well, it's not birthday. Happy.
It's not?
No, our birthday was May 25th.
Oh. I thought you were talking about America, the country.
Well, this is not coming out on July 4th, so.
But we're recording it on July 4th.
Don't give the audience such a, they don't need to know that. We don't want them to know when we record.
Audience, we're recording on July 4th in the middle of the ocean.
Wait.
On an oil rig.
Oh.
Sponsored by Enron.
I don't think we should say that.
What's wrong with that?
I think maybe we should tell the truth.
There is no truth. There's no objective truth in this universe.
There's one objective truth, Kellie.
And what is that?
We are very near 100 episodes of Talking Games.
Yippee!
And we've made a very exciting decision.
Yippee!
We're doing a 3-part special.
Boom, 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 boom,
It's a very musical episode, apparently.
Sorry.
Why are you sorry? It's hilarious.
I don't know.
Part 1 is today. Episode 98 is going to be all about my perfect co-host, Kellie.
Whoa.
Next.
Not sponsored by Enron.
No, only Andrew is sponsored by Enron. Episode. Why are you laughing at me? You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. Episode 99, which will come out next week, if you're listening at time of recording, will be, well, time of release, will be all about me, the other host of Talking Games.
My perfect co-host, Andrew.
That's so nice.
Enron paid me to say that.
Episode 100 will be all about us, Kellie and Andrew.
Yippee!
It'll be a history episode. It will end with a small informal exam. If you don't pass, you will lose your ability to listen to the podcast.
And you'll explode.
Oh. Sponsored by
Many sources
Enron.
have confirmed this. Sponsored by Enron.
But why don't we just go ahead and get into it? You're not going to hear me talk a lot this episode.
Wow.
Today's all about Kellie.
So true. So very true. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my history. My herstory, if you will.
This is a good start. You're starting it up like a History Channel podcast.
I'm using my All Things Considered voice.
Okay, keep going.
And in this episode, we will be talking about Kellie. That was my All Things Considered voice.
Yeah.
So I've been around on this earth, on this globe, for quite some time. Maybe not that much time, but quite some time. Andrew's laughing at me right now. I just want you guys to know. There's no good introduction to what I'm about to tell you and what we're going to talk about.
What are you about to tell me?
Don't worry about it, because you're about to find out.
I feel in the dark. We always have a sheet up, and I don't have it up today.
Yeah. So there. Suck on that.
Oh, whoa.
Whoa, hold on. Wait. That's not what I meant.
I think you need to start. I think we're off kilter.
Yeah. So I'll start by just sort of talking about the games that were important to me in my youth and how this all got started, because I did not come from a family of gamers. That's actually not true. I kind of did. But anyway, so when I was little, like a wee little lass, every Friday, my mother would take me and my older sister to the video store, which for our young listeners, you could go there and you could rent movies and then you would return them. But anyway, we would go every Friday, and eventually we would start going to Blockbuster. And eventually they started carrying games. So instead of like renting a movie or a TV show, I started renting games because we had a few at home. A lot of them were my dad's, Madden. I always used to play Madden with him, and I didn't know how to play because I was literally a child. But I would always pick the Denver Broncos because I liked horses. And I'm not kidding. And he would let me win. So that was nice. But sometimes he would beat me. Beat me in the game. Sorry. I just feel like I'm trying to be sincere here. But anyway, that's really not an important detail. But he also had this one game that me and my sister used to play because there was a couch co-op mode. It was James Bond 007, Agent Under Fire. And it was so much fun. And we used to just like mess around in that game. We didn't even pay attention to the objective. We would just do like couch co-op and just like run around because you could play as like the girls, like the Bond girls in the multiplayer. And it was like so much fun. We used to have favorites and everything like that. But anyway, so that was kind of like, okay, this is fun. I want to play more. But like I was little, so asking my parents for video games wasn't really a thing. They mostly just bought me like Littlest Pet Shop toys and Bratz dolls, which I do love still. I'm a woman of many faces. But anyway, so I started like renting games from Blockbuster, and this started with it would always be like licensed games, like movie games, because that's what I wanted to do. Like I remember playing the Jurassic Park game on the PlayStation 2 because I rented it from Blockbuster, and it was like so much fun because I was like, oh my God, dinosaurs. It's just like the movie. And we had, that sort of eventually turned to like me trying simulator games. So I bought Zoo Tycoon. I didn't buy it. My mother bought it. Zoo Tycoon 2 for the PC. And that was so much fun. I loved that game so much. It was 3D, which was a big deal for Zoo Tycoon because the original game was, it wasn't like 2D, but it wasn't as detailed as 2, obviously. And there was this mode where you could like walk around with the animals, which was really cool. And we would get all the expansion packs, which were like dinosaurs. And then there was like a Under the Ocean expansion pack. So I had a lot of fun with Zoo Tycoon. And then this turned into me playing Harvest Moon, Another Wonderful Life on the GameCube, which was the first Harvest Moon game I ever played. It was the first farming simulator game I ever played. And it like changed my life. I had so much fun with that game. Another Wonderful Life was different because in the original, A Wonderful Life, you got to play as a male character. And you could only play as a male character, which was fine, but I didn't really care. And then in Another Wonderful Life, they let you play as a female character, which was a lot more fun for me because I am a girl, for those who don't know. So I had a lot of fun with that, and that was sort of my first taste of a farming simulator and sort of my first encounter with Harvest Moon as a series. I also played a lot of Animal Crossing when I was little, like a lot. I had a really close friend of mine who I don't really talk to anymore, but we were friends when we were little. Her name was Delaney, and we used to play Animal Crossing together all the time. And her older brother would always like show us all the cheat codes and stuff. It was so much fun. And, I had the little sheet in the book, like the game case. I had a little sheet written down of all the cheat codes. And the old GameCube version of Animal Crossing used to come with a memory card. And I remember being so excited, but you could only use the memory card for Animal Crossing. You couldn't use it for any other games, which was funny. Can you hear the train?
Yeah. No, the train is now an iconic staple of the Kellie side of talking games.
I feel like the train is kind of immersive for this conversation right now because you arrive in the town in Animal Crossing GameCube on a train.
Yeah, I put that in sound design wise.
Right. It's not natural sound. No. It's not organically occurring.
Not nat sound.
Not nat sound.
Unnat sound.
Oh, super nat sound, if you will.
I won't.
Okay. Ghost train. Anyway. So this was like a lot of simulator games when I was little and a lot of movie games. I remember I really enjoyed the Madagascar game for GameCube. I had so much fun playing that game. I played the Barnyard game on my PlayStation 2, which is a very rich text. Shout out to Cameron, a friend of the show, who also played the Barnyard game and can attest to my statement there. And the Over the Hedge game I really enjoyed. And what I used to do when I was little is I would just sort of create the world in the game. Like, I wouldn't necessarily follow the objective, but I would just like walk around and hang out and be like, I'm doing this today. I'm pretending to be this today. It was very like kind of the way a kid plays a game, you know? And of course, another like big mainstay for me when I was growing up was The Sims. Played The Sims 1 on PC. I remember like in my old house when I was very little, like sitting around a little computer with my mom and my aunt and my sister and playing Sims Unleashed for the first time, which was the first, not the first, it was an expansion pack for the first game. And it was where you could have pets. You could have dogs and cats and fish and hamsters. And I remember just being like mind blown at the concept of expansion packs. I didn't really get it. Still don't. Just kidding. I get it now. So anyway, and The Sims sort of carried me through. I mean, I played Sims 2 Pets on my PlayStation. That was the first that I never played The Sims 2 on PC, which is interesting. And then I played The Sims 3, and then obviously I played The Sims 4 now. So that and like Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing, these are games that have been with me like literally my entire life almost. And it's just been very interesting to sort of grow up with them, especially like a game like Harvest Moon, which has changed so much. And it has also like spawned so much. I mean, you could argue the same for Animal Crossing, this sort of like genre of cozy games that is so popular now. It's like absurd. I mean, obviously Stardew Valley is also one of my favorite games, and that game is very inspired by Harvest Moon. So it's been fun to sort of grow and evolve and watch as like other, you know, creators probably are in a similar position as me, where they grew up with these games and they want to create things that are inspired by them and take a lot of the DNA to make it better for a more modern world, I guess. And then, you know, another big one for me growing up was Pokemon. I mean, it's so interesting. Everybody has a story about Pokemon, like when they're growing up. My first Pokemon game was Pokemon Ruby. I'd never played Silver, or Silver, Gold, or Crystal, and then I never played Red, Blue, or Green. Or Yellow, I guess, was the old ones. So I started with Ruby. I loved it. I had such a good time, and then I kind of grew out of it. I played Diamond, and I really enjoyed it. And then I went through a phase where I was like, Pokemon isn't cool. I can't be playing video games. This was middle school, and if you've ever been a middle school girl, or even just middle school in general, there's like the whole world is looking at you all the time, and everything is the worst thing that's ever happened to you. So I just simply could not play it. And then I just remember I was at a sleepover. It was like a friend's sleepover, and I brought my DS, and she had, and I'm not going to out her, but she had an Action Replay. Do you remember those?
Yeah. Oh, I remember those.
And I put it in my DS.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Everybody, don't listen. And I saw a game called Pokemon Platinum on there, and I was like, what is this? So I played it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like having so much fun. Like it was Diamond, right? But it was
Diamond
obviously
Pro Platinum.
more. It was obviously more. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be real secretive about this. So I kept playing Pokemon. Obviously, Black and White came out not too soon after. And I think at that point I was I think I was still in middle school. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. The timeline was basically that I got back into it, and then obviously I still play it today. So it's just another one of those things that is sort of carried across my entire life, basically. So, you know, once I got to high school, time started being a little less free. So it was harder for me to play games as much. But when I got to high school, this was really when I started getting into like RPGs and like more in-depth worlds. 2011, I was a sophomore in high school, aging myself a little bit here. And, oh God,
Yeah, no, don't get into the existential part.
And I played Skyrim, and it was like it changed my life. It was so much fun. It was like I had never played such an in-depth game. Like I had never gone through something that was so big in scope, while also being not super overwhelming for me. And that sort of opened the door for a couple other things. And this is a funny story. So I looked into obviously I wanted to know more about Skyrim and like the people who made it. Around this time when I was like a sophomore I would say freshman, when I was young in high school, that's when I really started getting into like online fandom. That's when I got my Tumblr account, which I will never share with anybody. But that's really when the doors opened for me, and I was like, oh, wow. There's so many people out there that play these games and create content around them. So, I did a little bit of digging, and I learned about Bethesda, and then I learned about Fallout, and I was like, wow, these games are crazy. Like, I really want to play these games, but I don't know if I am allowed, because I was a kid. I mean, I was 16. I was probably like 16 or 15 at this point, so I wasn't really that young, but I was pretty young, and I didn't, this was never like a conversation that I ever broached with my parents. So I remember I bought Fallout 3 on Amazon, and when I got it, I like hid it from my parents because it was an M-rated game. Now, mind you, Skyrim was also an M-rated game, but to me, Fallout was a little bit more serious because if you've ever played Skyrim versus Fallout's a little bit gorier.
Yeah.
I would argue Fallout's a little bit more mature anyway. But so I played Fallout 3 for the first time, and I had so much fun. And I remember, and then obviously Fallout New Vegas came out like 2 years after that. Played that. Had a great time. I didn't buy Fallout 3 when it first came out. I think I bought Fallout 3 in 2012, maybe. And that's when I started playing Fallout New Vegas as well. So it was already about 2 years old at that point. But anyway, so that was kind of my journey with RPGs. And I dipped my toe a little bit into the JRPG world, obviously, with Persona. Mm-hmm. That was another game that I was like, I was insistent on getting a PSP for Christmas one year. I was like, please get me a PSP. I know it's expensive, but like, I want it, and that's all. And I was spoiled. I was a spoiled kid. So I got a PSP for Christmas. And I bought a Harvest Moon game for it. It was like I can't even remember. I think it was called Save the Homeland or something like that. Save the Homefront? I can't remember. So it sounds a little bit racist now. Yeah. But and that was sort of what I was playing for a little bit. But then I was like, I did the same thing. I ordered Persona 3 Portable on Amazon, and I ran upstairs as soon as it got to the front door, and I unpacked it, and I hid it under the bed. I hid the case under the bed, and I played Persona 3 Portable. And like I'm saying, it's funny talking about it now because I wasn't that young. I could handle a mature game, but it's just in my head. I was a really good kid. I never did anything bad ever,
except buy Persona 3 on Amazon and hide it under your bed.
Exactly. And the truth is, my parents would not care. None of you have ever met my parents, except for Andrew, but they're very, very relaxed, and they would not give a care in the world. But anyway. So that was sort of what was going on for me as I was a little bit older, started getting into RPGs. Obviously there's two really big ones that I talk about all the time. One that I probably mention once an episode. So I kind of have a weird journey with Dragon Age. It's very interesting. It was the summer after my freshman year of high school, so it was 2011 at this point. Dragon Age 2 had come out in March, and I never played the first one. But I saw that it was like a role-playing game and that you could customize your character, and that was important to me. And I saw that you could romance people, which that was also very important to me. So I rented it from Blockbuster. If you can believe it, Blockbuster was still around at this point. And I remember playing it, and I had so much fun. And I was like, this game is so incredible. I cannot believe it. And I played through the whole game and I was like, okay, what now? So I had to go back. So I went back to Blockbuster and I rented Dragon Age Origins and I played it. And it was like, it changed my life. I did not know you could ever play a game where that much choice and that much customization could go into it and it would still be impactful and effective. So I like automatically fell in love. And to be able to then take my choices from the first game and carry them over into the second game, I was like, oh my God, nothing will ever be like this ever again. It was like revolutionary to me. And it's kind of funny at Blockbuster this was, like I said, this was like 2011. So Blockbuster was kind of already inching out the door, but it used to be that if you rented a game for long enough and you still didn't return it and you kept not returning it, you could just buy it.
Yeah.
So I bought Dragon Age Origins for $1.
Wow.
I literally still have that copy. It does not work anymore, and I'll tell you why. I put it in my Xbox, and while it was playing, I moved my Xbox, and it scratched the disc so bad it just won't play anymore.
Oh.
But I still have that copy because it has the sticker on it from Blockbuster still. That's like, buy it.
Yeah, the little circle sticker.
Yeah, and I still have it. So, and I had to do the same. I went on Amazon and I bought a new copy. And then there was the long wait for Dragon Age 3.
Yeah.
Which is comical to say long wait now because it was 3 years versus what it is now, which is going on 8. But anyway, so I kind of did the same thing that I did with Skyrim. I was like, well, I need to learn more. Like, I need to look into this. And that's when I learned about Mass Effect, also created by BioWare. And I was like, okay, space, not 100% my jam as much as fantasy is, but I can dig it. Same thing. I started with the second game because that was the newer one at that point. And I was like, wait, this is incredible. Like, this is almost the same as Dragon Age, but you get to play the same character throughout all 3 games. Well, at that point, it was all 2 games. Same choices, carry over, romance. It was very important to me. So I was like, okay, let me get into it. Went back, rented the first game, played it, carried that character over into the second game. And I got in at just the right time because Mass Effect 3 was coming out in 2012. So I only really had to wait a couple months. And that was sort of my journey with those 2 games. And then, you know, these games, they like stay with you for so many periods of your life. Mm-hmm. Like Dragon Age for me started when I was just a kid, you know, when I was like 16 or 15. And like, I remember playing Inquisition when it first came out. It was like fall 2014. That was when I was, that's when I was in college. And I remember bringing my little Xbox 360, because that's what I had at the time, playing Dragon Age Inquisition on the little TV on my Xbox 360, which at that point in 2014 was a last gen console. The game did not look great on Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3. And, you know, it was like, I don't know. It was just, it's one of those things that it just like stuck with me and it was there with me for a long time. And then I saved up enough money and I bought a used PlayStation 4 and I got to play the Dragon Age Inquisition DLC, Trespasser, which was only available on next gen. Well, at that time it was not next gen, it was current gen, and now it's past gen. But yeah, so I just have a lot of fond memories, and I mean, those games to me sort of taught me, like, story is the most important thing to me. And those games to me sort of taught me, I don't even know how to explain it. Just like the importance of narrative and how much it can really connect you to the world and to the characters and to the game. And then, you know, once you get in college, you're kind of like, I just didn't have as much time to play games anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't have my consoles with me at school except for the PlayStation. Well, I had my Xbox 360 my first year, and then I had my PlayStation my second year, but I just didn't have time. You're so busy at college. And when you're not busy, like with classes and other stuff, it's like it's always friends and going out and doing stuff. And then, you know, my second year, I guess we'll get into this a little bit more in later episode, in 2 episodes, I should say. But that's when I met Andrew, and that's kind of when I was like, wait a minute. I am a gamer. Hold on. Wait, I am. I promise. And I was sort of able to like reconnect, and like we were doing the radio show, which was all about video games, which helped me to sort of not necessarily get back into it because I don't think I ever left, but to sort of stay, I'm not going to say abreast, but to stay up to date on like what was going on. And, you know, obviously around this time, not necessarily this time, it was like 2016, maybe 2017. I mean, this is when things started to expand a little bit for me because I just had more flexibility with like what I could buy, what I could do. You know, sequels to games that I played when I was in high school were coming out. Like Fallout 4 came out in 2015, which was a really big deal for me. And I remember like playing it in my dorm, but I had to be really quiet because my roommate was sleeping at the time. So the whole emotional impact of like the first hour of that game was completely lost on me because I was listening to it at like a 2. Which is fine considering the emotional impact of the rest of the game simply does not exist. So, sorry. But, and then obviously like a few years later, Persona 5 came out. That was a big deal. I started doing like video game writing for like for college for the radio station basically. So I just got a little bit more involved in that regard, and a couple years later I got my Switch, which helped me. I skipped the Wii U because, well,
You're smart.
So there were a few games that I did not get the opportunity to play, but I got my Switch, and that's when I was able to play Breath of the Wild, and I was sort of able to get back into Fire Emblem. I played Fire Emblem Awakening when it came out, actually, because I had heard that it was really good. And once again, I saw that you could customize your character and romance characters, so I was like, I'm in. That's all you had to say to me. And I had so much fun with Awakening, and I you know, I was so hyped for Fates when it came out, and I still, like at the time, I really enjoyed it. Now looking back, it's definitely not the best game in the series, but there's still parts of it that are really fun for me. The maps on Conquest, I think, are really great. And there were characters that I liked, but there were just like thousands of characters. So, and then obviously like, you know, now that I'm out of school and now that I'm an independent, relatively speaking, adult, I have my PC now, and that is a whole other beast when it comes to like being able to play games and play games in a new way. I talked about it a lot on this show, but like being able to go back and play old games that I really enjoyed, like in high school and growing up, but like adding mods to them and like changing them and playing them in different ways through those mods. That's been really, really fun for me and really, really incredible, so to speak. Like having my PlayStation 5, which right now is the Netflix machine. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I played Resident Evil 4 on it. Okay. All right. And 3 and 2. So don't come for me. And maybe I'll play Final Fantasy 16 soon. But anyway, and like I still have my Switch, obviously. Like it's just been really fun at this point in my life, being able to reconnect to those old games that I really enjoyed. And I know we sort of maybe poke fun about like everything gets remade or remastered, but it really is a joy to be able to like replay them. And I've been playing a lot of Harvest Moon. I'm sorry, it's called Story of Seasons now. I've been playing a lot of the Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life remake, and it's been so much fun because it's so nostalgic for me. And it reminds me of being little, and I have very fond memories of like playing on my GameCube. And I have one specific memory. I was like playing on my GameCube. It was maybe Thanksgiving, and my grandparents were over, and my grandpa used to cook. He was such a good cook. And like, I just remember like playing my game and the song that was playing in the game. And you know what song is really nostalgic for me? And you're going to laugh, but it's like the NFL theme that plays. It's like da-da-da, da-da-da. And I just remember that was playing in the background as I was playing my Harvest Moon game. So I always think of that whenever I play Harvest Moon. Even now, when I play the remake, that's what I'm thinking of, because I hear the song and then I hear the NFL song and then I think of my grandpa's cooking, and it's like, I don't know. It's very nostalgic for me. And as you get older, you start to just, yearn more and more for the things that made you happy when you were little. So being able to go back to that and still glean some enjoyment from that has been really fun for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for what's to come this year. I think that being able to have stuff to look forward to, like, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a little bit hard to be super excited about games. Like last year, it wasn't very exciting for me, especially like after Elden Ring came out. It just wasn't like, I was like, well, that's the last big thing that I was excited for a long time.
Yeah.
And I've been, we joke about it all the time, but like with Dragon Age, it's like, to me, it doesn't even feel like it's happening. Because it's been so long and it keeps getting ignored, and it's like, whatever. And that's sad, but it's also, there's so many other things to look forward to. And now I finally feel like at this point I'm more excited again. Like I was very excited when Resident Evil 4 came out, very excited for Tears of the Kingdom, very excited for Starfield, very excited for Baldur's Gate 3. So even with stuff that's not necessarily like a return to the stuff that I played when I was younger and the stuff that I enjoyed when I was younger, having new stuff to be excited for makes me happy, makes me feel like I'm not just living in the past all the time. Yeah. Even though I am.
In like a good way.
Yeah. Not in like a I'm trapped way, but
I'm trapped.
But in a good way, yeah. So that was kind of my journey with video games. Obviously, there's so many other things that I'm like not mentioning or that I've forgotten about. When you're little, it's like you play games with your friends, and that's the fun part of it.
Yeah.
And you make little worlds within the game with your friends. Like I was talking about earlier with Animal Crossing, me and my friend Delaney used to just like be like, okay, and these two villagers are fighting, and these two are best friends, and we're gonna pretend to be the doctor in town, and we're gonna go around and check everybody out. It was like, that was not something that existed within the game.
Yeah.
We just made that up because we were kids, and when you're a kid, you've got all these like creative ideas about life and things in the world, and the light hasn't gone out yet, I guess. I'm not saying that the light has gone out now, but I'm a little more cynical now than I was when I was little. But but yeah, so that's Kellie.
That's Kellie.
Neatly wrapped in a maybe not so neat, messily wrapped in a 45-minute episode.
On brand wrapped.
Sure.
I loved it. I like hearing, I don't know. We talk about games all the time, and like I know what you like. I know how you feel about Dragon Age, how you feel about Fallout, like that kind of stuff, but it's just, there's just something special about hearing about it in context,
Yeah.
Like I could sit here all day and listen to you talk about like Dragon Age is good because I like this, but it's more fun when you're like, oh, I went to Blockbuster and I got it and then I kept it. Like that's fantastic. So
yeah. I mean, it was really And I didn't want to spend too much time on Dragon Age because I talk about it so much. Like, I get it. I know you guys. I know it's annoying. I get it. But it's like, I truly feel like the world that they created and the characters, it's like, it's just, to me, there's nothing else like it. And there's nothing else that will ever be like it. And I know that seems like I'm really hyping it up. And I probably am. And I'm sure that if you opened up Dragon Age Origins now and played it, you were like, well, that was fun, but it wasn't like, you know, I don't know what Kellie was talking about. I get that. But to me, I think it made me a better writer. I think it made me better at reading, like understanding themes and narrative and context clues. And like, I just feel like, because I played it at such a, you know, I played it at such a formative period in my life. I was like 16 years old, maybe 15. I can't remember. I was 16. So I played it at such a formative period in my life that it just like, it's stuck in my head and it will never come out.
Yeah.
And the thing too is that, and I won't talk about this as much because it's maybe not as related, but it is really the game that opened the door to fandom for me. And that's like a whole other thing, you know, that's where you have all the people like making fan art and like writing fan fiction and creating, you know, Tumblr was such a big place at the time. And it exposed me to so many other ideas and like even like worldviews. I feel like it really changed the trajectory of my life in that way. So, no big deal. Dragon Age 4 when?
Yeah, I didn't. Okay, so just as a side note, I like know that Dragon Age 4 has been in the works for a long time. But when you said something about like, oh yeah, I played Inquisition my freshman year of college, and I'm like, oh, I was still in high school when you played that. Meaning it's been that many, like it has been the entirety of college and then the entirety of our post-college adulthood that you've been waiting.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it much more so now.
It is hard to, because to me it feels like it does feel like I just played that game because I did just play that game because I replay it like every year. But the truth is that to me, it doesn't feel like that long ago because college doesn't feel that long ago to me. But realistically, it was a very long time ago. It was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, oh God.
Yeah, let's save the existential. Let's save the existential stuff for the episode where we're talking about like the history of us.
Yeah.
Because I got existential. You were talking about like, oh, I was playing video games at like my grandparents' house with the football song, and I was like, I have the same experience.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And you know what's funny? It's like those songs that I hear, and this is just like a tangent. But my sister used to. So we had like a family room, and it was my little tiny CRTV, my GameCube, and then our family computer was right next to it. And my sister used to sit on our family computer, and she used to listen to music on her iTunes speakers, no headphones, and write. She's a writer, so she would write, and she would go on MySpace. But and I would sit there, and I remember playing, the Madagascar game. And you know what song I always associate with the game now? And like, if you don't know the song, this is gonna sound stupid. Like, it's not gonna be that funny. But you know the song "Hide and Seek" by Imogen Heap?
Uh-huh.
It's like, who are we? It's like it's a really sad song. I always associate it with Madagascar the game because it was playing. She would listen to it while I was playing my game, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm Marty the zebra or Marty the giraffe." No, Marty the zebra. It doesn't matter. The character's name does not matter. But it was like it's just stuff like that. It's like it just sticks in your head till the day you die. You know, not to get existential, but it's like these are the memories that follow you through life.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's so funny.
And I remember my first brush with death was like my cow dying in Harvest Moon.
Oh. And
it was so sad, and I cried and I cried and I cried. And my parents didn't really get it. My mom was like, why would they let your animal die in that game? And it's like she was kind of right. But that Harvest Moon game was a little bit more, I don't want to say dark, but it was a little bit more real.
They should have had like a "I'm a child, don't make me deal with death" mode.
Yeah. And I never finished the game, but I guess this is a spoiler. It's a very old game. But at the end of the game, your character does die.
Oh.
So it's like, I never finished it, so I never got to that part.
That would have been rough.
But that was the first time in my life I was like, this is my fault that this animal is dead. Isn't that insane?
That's messed
And it was a
up.
Harvest Moon game. Because I just didn't have enough fodder and I didn't have money because I wasn't good at the game. Because I was a kid. I didn't know how to organize crops.
And you killed the cow.
And and that cow died because of me. And it was so sad. And now it's like I can look back on that and laugh, But at the time it was devastating. I never thought I was going to recover.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Me too. And now I have cows. Now the memory of that cow lives on in the cows that I have in the remake that I'm playing right now.
Everything comes full circle.
It really, truly does.
That was special, Kelly. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah. I had fun. I love talking about myself, so.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Sorry. I ruined the moment. I'm sorry.
No, it was what you deserved.
Oh.
Like you deserved to revel in your joy, not to ruin the episode.
Sorry. It's like, what do you mean what I deserve? Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about all my favorite games and to talk about my life and to get a little bit nostalgic and a little bit emotional.
You didn't cry. I might, so we'll see next episode.
I didn't cry. I did not cry. I am thinking about my cow now and I'm crying a little bit. But...
Oh, well maybe that's a good sign that you should stop talking.
Oh, okay.
This nice, like, sweet episode all about Kelly, and at the end I just get mad at you. Like, can you stop? Can we be done?
Could you please stop? I'm over this. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to my story. Stay tuned next. Excuse me.
Bless you. Bless Kelly.
Stay tuned next week. And you'll learn all about Andrew's journey with video games.
Wow.
Thanks so much for listening. Bye.